So it's just a beautiful place. And I think it's so cool that New Jersey is one of like the few states where you can be at the beach, you can be at the mountains, you can be at a lake, you can be at a river, you can be in New York City, you can be in Philadelphia, all within a couple hours of each other. How cool is that? There's
dynamic
aspects of your life. And then Lake Hopatcong being the largest lake in New Jersey, it's this beautiful place. Prior to working here, I'd only been up a handful, probably less than a handful of times. And since being at the lake and working at the foundation, I think the greatest things about the lake is the community that surrounds the lake. This is like everybody here loves it and is so eager and willing. I mean, we have,
and that's the wild part, right? It's just so eclectic, so many different people from different places.
Yeah, and one of the various different user groups on the lake. You have the boaters, you have the fishermen in the winter. There's ice sailing. I didn't know ice sailing was a thing until last winter. You got a state park, you got a county park. The floating classroom, or the foundation's floating classroom, is amazing. Last year we had 1,600 kids.
And there's a huge community that people aren't aware of. How many people live around the lake?
6 different counties, students are coming to out on the floating classroom, where we teach them all about lake ecology, river ecology, forest ecology, how to be great stewards of our shared environment, so that we can really protect the jewel of the lake. One of the big ones we use is that Hopatcong State Park sees over like 500,000 people annually, which is insane. It's 500,000 people.
Yeah, it's huge. I think that's something we miss sometimes. Like, again, I go, there's 20 grand in Lake Hopatcong. There's like 10 in Mount Arlington, 15 in Hopatcong. Like,
Roxbury is huge.
Yeah, it's like there's towns just around our lake. There's 50, 60,000 people, and they're all part of that community. And then you get the 500,000 people that go to the state park. Another 5,000 boaters or 6,000 boaters from everywhere else. And it's like, God, it's a big community.
And then the people that come just for fishing in different areas of the lake. And
just to come out on a missed lot or to hit a restaurant. It's like, it is a monster of a draw.
Yeah.
Climate change or not, just the impact that we have by building houses around a lake and the communities around the lake. I mean, it's huge.
It is huge. You build a house, think about like how now you're creating an impervious surface where there's stormwater going right into the nearest body of water, and even over your lawn. You got grass, you have fertilizer and pesticides that could be making its way into the lake or rivers or tributaries to the lake. And all that kind of adds up and has an impact, especially when you think about how many homes and towns there are and roads there are around the lake.
But the foundation's got these 4 pillars, because it's not just all environmental, it's more.
Our 4 pillars are environment, education, community, and advocacy. And so, environment is all about working to improve water quality in the lake. We do that through different projects and programs. We're doing a rain garden at Lakeside Fields in Jefferson to capture stormwater runoff and treat it before it enters the lake. We work with the Lake Hopatcong Commission, which a lot of people confuse.
It's a different thing.
Yeah, they confuse
just
the
for the record,
foundation
folks,
and the commission.
2 different things.
Yes, 2 different things. Although we work hand in hand and work very closely on a lot of things. The commission is in but not of the New Jersey DEP.
Government.
Their government, and the foundation is a 501c3
private
nonprofit. So we work with them a lot on different stormwater projects. So I think the environment is kind of environment and education are the 2 that are like most in your face. A lot of people see us doing. We post a lot about on our social media channels.
Do you find those are easiest for folks to understand?
I think they are the easiest for folks to understand.
What's the hardest?
Advocacy, I think, is the hardest.
Community is the second easiest, because that's the block party.
The block party, the lake loop, the Lake Hopatcong Trail. Those are all, tangible things that we can share with people.
Community-based, come together.
But advocacy is kind of happens behind closed doors, and a lot of people don't.
Explain advocacy in 20 seconds.
In 20 seconds. Well, I would say it's being the voice for the lake when it can't be the voice for itself.
To who?
To all levels of government and our legislature, the county, or it actually starts at the municipal level with our mayors and getting them together to talk about.
So this is where everybody tunes out usually now.
Yeah, this is it. Talk about the lake. You think about like Jefferson and Roxbury are huge townships.
Yeah.
And the lake is just a small portion of each of those. And both of those mayors have a lot on their plates. And so we find time to meet with them regularly, kind of check in and remind them about, not that we need to remind them, they know that the lake is there.
They got a lot of things on their plate.
Right? And issues we're hearing from the community about are facing the lake and what they might be able to do to help. And then we go to the county level. We got 2 counties, so 4 municipalities, 2 counties, Morris and Sussex County, meeting with our county commissioners to bring attention to the lake. And then get into state government.
Stateside, yeah.
You have your state assembly and the state senate. Right there, one of the big things we're working on is getting more funding for public lakes in New Jersey. A lot of people don't realize is we're doing it for all public lakes, not
that's
just
a challenge, and you're just worried about Lake Hopatcong.
Yeah,
but you got to do it for everybody.
Yeah, I actually chair the Public Lakes Alliance of New Jersey, which is a group of, I think right now we're about 11 different lake groups across the state. We get together once every other month, and we talk about, we have representatives from Greenwood Lake and Cranberry Lake and Deal Lake and a few other lakes. And we just talk about what is happening at each lake. What issues are they facing? Are they having the same goose problem that we're having? Are they having a harmful algal bloom, or what is happening? Deal Lake just recently had some flooding, and how we could, work together to draw attention to those issues with our state legislature. And right now what we're doing, we have a bill in the state Senate and state assembly to advance $17 million in public or funding for public lakes in New Jersey. That would be grant funds as a whole, 17 million pot to be split. You have to apply for a grant to be split amongst the lakes. A few years ago, we were successful in getting $10 million in public lakes funding. And
that's awesome.
About 1.7 million of that ended up coming to Lake Hopatcong in various different forms.
So 20% got back to the lake.
Yeah.
So you get to advocacy, and I don't think a lot of people understand what a monster it is to get through politics.
It's a tough
and you
road.
need it to bring funding to the lake in order to do the good things you're trying to do, or you got to go out and self-support.
Yes.
Which means you got to raise money, which
is what we do.
You didn't even really say that yet.
Yeah,
that's got to be a whole part of what you do.
We do that a lot. We're a membership-based group. We do rely on the generous donations from people around the lake to help us achieve our mission.
And I see so many people get frustrated, and I've been part of this myself. Where Lake Hopatcong is the largest lake in the state. Back to its 50,000 people. It's this economic monster when you think about the money that comes to the lake to recreate here, as well as the community that supports it. It's just huge. But then it's challenging since it's so fragmented between 2 different counties, 4 different towns.
4 different towns. I think it's 2 different state legislature districts.
So it's hard to get everything together.
And then you look at the federal side of it. I think there's also 2 more districts.
Yeah, right. So you go, it's got all these different players in it, but it's hard to get all these cats together to take this, you can't herd cats and get them in the right direction.
I think that's one thing the foundation is good at, is getting the right people in the room together to address whatever issue needs to be faced.
So. And then you run this challenge where you're doing this for the greater good of the whole state.
Yep.
And I imagine you've played a big part in getting this $10 million in funding, of which you got 17%.
Yeah.
And it's and folks don't understand how much money and effort and time that costs. And I think that's something that's hard to convey of that's why folks should support on a private level the foundation to give you more horsepower to go get those public funds that the lake probably rightly deserves, considering the economic beast it is.
It's not even just the community support to be able to then go and get those funds, but when you apply for a grant, you need matching funds.
Yeah, so that's where you need the membership.
And so our membership base allows us to cover even just foundation staff time, so that we don't have to charge that to a grant, but then we can use that as matching funds, so that every dollar we bring in goes more towards getting a project in the ground for the lake. Yeah,
because you may get the money, but you don't have the money to match the money.
Yeah, and some federal grants require 1-to-1 match. So for every dollar you ask, you have to have another dollar.
Where are you going to get that from?
Right. We're working on a grant right now, and it's a struggle to try and come up with some of that. So.
Yeah. And I think the other thing to remember, because people get a little bit bored or kind of frustrated with advocacy or dealing with politics for numerous reasons. It doesn't move fast enough. It becomes a red thing or a blue thing, but it's not. It's a purple thing. You're just trying to get it to work, and you got to work with both sides.
It's a lake thing.
It's a lake thing.
Yeah. That's what we're here for. Just the lake. That's all we care about, is making Lake Hopatcong
better place.
A better place. Caitlin always laughs at me in our office. She's like, my tagline is, we're just making Lake Hopatcong the best it can be. And that's what we have.
Good tagline.
Our official vision statement is fostering a vibrant and healthy Lake Hopatcong. I feel like it just translates to making Lake Hopatcong the best it can be.
Making Lake Hopatcong the best. I like that. That's a great one. What's the biggest initiative, or if you could wave a magic wand in 1 year, it's a pseudo magic wand.
Yeah.
What would it look like 1 year from now if we were having a conversation?
Ooh, well, so we have a lot of big projects in the work, and I don't know if they're all going to happen this year, but they're definitely in the work. So our current education program is currently geared towards 4th and 5th graders, and we're developing a high school education program to be able to expand our reach. And so it'd be kind of cool to see like 4th graders who have gone through the program now in high school going through the
cycling back
and going through the program at a little more in-depth level, to kind of gain a little bit more knowledge, do a little more hard science and water quality, some of that data visualization, and using some of the information they collect to see really what is happening and really think about how you can work to improve the environment.
It's a good goal.
It should be a great project. Our goal is to have a fall field trip of high schools this year, starting small with the 5 or for the schools around the high schools around the lake. We're also working on a lake-wide oxygenation system and trying to figure out if that's feasible and how to make it work. Currently in the design phase, but it looks like it would cover 900 acres of the lake, where there's currently a dead zone. There's an anoxic zone, no oxygen below, I think it's like 20 feet or something like that.
So would the goal be by the end of next year, this time, that's a do or don't?
Hopefully a do.
Hopefully a do, yeah.
Hopefully a do. All signs are pointing to a do.
Cool.
It's a very expensive system and costs a lot to maintain. So there's trying to figure out how we can support that, whether it be between the commission or the foundation, how we can make that happen. Phosphorus is a big nutrient in the lake that led to the 2019 algal bloom. And since then, we have done a number of projects, and all of the water quality monitoring that the commission and Princeton Hydro, who's a engineering firm that we work with, have done, shows that we've done a great job with those projects we've implemented at reducing the amount of nutrients we're putting into the lake through stormwater management projects and such. But there is so much of that nutrient phosphorus already in the lake that you could stop all of it from coming in, and they're still there, and it's still a problem. So the alum treatment would help bind that phosphorus and settle it on the bottom of the lake where it's not available to be used and cause another bloom. And the oxygenation system would be kind of a longer term to help manage.
It's like a 1-2 punch.
Yeah,
almost.
1-2 punch. So hopefully this fall we'll be able to get that alum treatment. And then we have that rain garden at Lakeside Fields in Jefferson, kind of a community demonstration projects, working with students from Jefferson High School who are going to document the whole process, working with the engineers to design the garden and install it. So there's a lot of projects.
How about overall? What about are there any goals for the events you're doing, or to bring X people to these events, or to raise this much money, or anything like that?
I mean, we do have a pretty hefty budget this year. We have our 3 big events we do every year. We have their annual block party, which is on May 18th here at Hopatcong State Park. As of yesterday, we've officially sold out of all vendor spaces. This is the earliest that's ever happened. The weather's great. We'll get 4,000 people out.
The weather's going to be great.
The weather's going to be great. And even if it's not, we get over 2,000 people out. So it's not that, that's a pretty significant number of people. So
big block party.
Big block party. Every year we host our annual gala, which is our largest fundraising effort. Cool. And for the last couple of years, we've brought in over $100,000 in that one evening, and hoping to continue that trend.
When's that, by the way?
That is on July 18th.
July 18th, cool.
And I remember it because the block party and the gala for the last 3 years have been on the same date.
Nice. All right, so we got May 18th, July 18th.
And the gala's at the Stonewater restaurant right on the lake. And then we do one event in the fall every year. It's more of a recreation style event, trying to get people out and recreating on the lake. And we usually do our Lake Loop event, which is a bike paddle run where people can bike 20, 40, 60 miles, although people bike the 60 miles. I don't know how they do it. There's a 5K trail run through Hopatcong State Park and a 2.5 mile paddle on the lake.
What's the date of that?
It will be in early October.
Gotcha. October 18th?
Not October 18th. Things get a little too cold at that point, but usually within the first week of October. But
4 projects or so, 3 big events.
And a lot of smaller events. We host quarterly programs here at our offices, the historic Lake Hopatcong train station. And then we have our native plant sale, trying to get people to go out and plant native plants around the lake, which also help improve water quality.
You guys are busy.
we're busy. All that advocacy work thrown in there. I actually have a meeting this afternoon with a state senator. So
nice. So just nonstop.
Nonstop.
And if people want to reach out to you, what's the best way to get in touch with you, or like try to get in touch with the foundation? What do you think they should do?
Go to our website is lakehopatcongfoundation.org. My email is kyle@lakehopatcongfoundation.org.
Everybody's going to be emailing.
That's fine. Phone number is 973-663-2500. Pretty active on all social media channels.
Instagram,
Facebook, X, Twitter.
Yeah.
And then we have a weekly newsletter that we send out on Fridays.
Email newsletter?
Email newsletter.
So you got to sign up for it?
You got to sign up for it right on our website. The link is at the top. That's sign up for our
What do you
newsletter.
get out of that?
First dibs for firsthand knowledge of what events we have coming up. We always like to try and announce everything first in our newsletter before we put it out on social media. Updates on projects we're working on and where we're at with certain things. And so it's a good, and a lot of resources for things happening around the lake as well. There's a community calendar in it, not just foundation events, but all events happening around, not even just the lake, but I'd say in the Morris, Sussex, Warren County area.
A lot going on.
We do have a lot going on. Keeps us very busy.